Yo, what's up, people? It's your boy. I'm Chris Adam One. I'm back with another video. You know what you got to do: rate, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so it'll let you know when my next live stream or video goes down. All right. Now, if you saw my live stream yesterday, I believe I told you the keys of why I felt like the Golden State Warriors were going to ultimately win last night's game. All right. Now, as I was watching the game, okay, it seemed like the Golden State Warriors were about to pull one, okay? But in the third quarter, all hell broke loose, okay? And the Toronto Raptors, they're the better team, guys. I have been wrong a lot. I mean, I'm human. I'm not. I feel like with my track record, particularly with sports, I'm more right than wrong. Okay, but I'm not like a lot of these people out here. They make up excuses and the talking heads and all that stuff. I think Toronto. I'm not like one of those cats out there that don't admit that they made the wrong call or made a video that when the final result do appear, because at the end of the day, we're all speculating. Okay, all of us use stats, numbers, and then our basic instincts, and then if you're I've been playing basketball all my life, and I'm a competitor, and when I look at teams, I look at matchups, I look at strengths and weaknesses, okay? And the biggest weakness for the Golden State Warriors is they have a lot of injuries. Now that's not necessarily meaning that the Raptors are winning because they don't have enough men, they don't have all men on deck. But I feel like if this was evened up and the Toronto Raptors were healthy and the Golden State Warriors were healthy and they had 7 games to prove who was going to be ultimately NBA champions, 9 times out of 10, I feel like the Golden State Warriors would have won that. And the majority of people out there will agree with what I just got through saying. But you have to give it up to the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors, they found out ways to defend the Golden State Warriors. And on a side note, I felt like if the Bucks would have won that series with the Toronto Raptors, which I called for the Toronto Raptors, but I also gave the Bucks the benefit of a doubt. If the Bucks would have won that, this would have been a sweep without Kevin Durant, because when you look at the matchups, the Bucks don't match up well with the Golden State Warriors, even with all their injuries. They would still have problems matchup wise and defensive wise, and also scoring. But when you look at the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors, I feel like the Toronto Raptors have a team that can match up with the Golden State Warriors. Okay, they have a lot of they have some decent perimeter players. They're known as a defensive ball club, and I kind of as a fan, I love pulling for the champion until the champion gets knocked out. Okay, I pulled for the Cleveland Cavaliers until they got knocked out. I pulled for the New England Patriots until they got knocked out, because you want to see champions compete, and then you also want to see champions meet their matchup, and those separate the very special championship teams to teams who won championships, in my opinion. Okay, so let's just break have a squad that can defend the Golden State Warriors. And I wanted to say this real quick before I forget it again. When the Toronto Raptors win the NBA Finals, the whole landscape of how the NBA view things as far as making teams and having perimeter players and players that can shoot threes, making it more an offensive type of thing. I think the landscape is totally going to change, and it's going to change. Just like when the Golden State Warriors won the championship against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the first of many. The Golden State Warriors changed the landscape of the NBA. It's about perimeter play. It's about having players on your squad that can shoot perimeter shots and shoot threes. Okay, it was more of an offensive type of deal. All right. I feel like when the Toronto Raptors win the NBA Finals, that whole landscape is going to change once again. The NBA is going to be, changing within the structure of the Toronto Raptors. It's a copycat league. So is the NFL. So is the Major League Baseball and soccer and things of that nature. A lot of teams copy what the successor did. And what a lot of people are going to copy is you really don't need a lot of perimeter players. You need some two-way players that can defend and are able to switch. But you also need perimeter players with a decent perimeter shot. Okay, and I feel like the Toronto Raptors players, when you look at them individually, if you put them on any other squad, you really wouldn't see the potential of these players. But with them on one squad, you could see, why these players like Van Bleek and I forgot the other guy's name. There's a lot of players on the Toronto Raptors. His name escapes me. I want to say his name real fast. I'm sorry about that. But the Toronto Raptors have athletic perimeter players that can play both ways. When you look at the Golden State Warriors, they have players that are perimeter players, but they only have a few of them that can play both ways. Draymond Green can play both ways, but he's more for his defensive prowess than his offense. Okay, and Klay Thompson can play both ways. He's an excellent defender, but what he hangs his hat on, his offensive play. Okay, so you got a bunch of players that can play offensively, but there's question marks on the defensive side of things. Steph Curry, who's excellent on the offensive side of things, is not a good player on the defensive end. That's why they cover and hide him, sort of say. When you got a Draymond Green, a Klay Thompson, a Kevin Durant, when you got all these, a Cook, when you got all of these players, they can sort of hide Steph Curry because he's a defensive liability, okay? And it's showing in these finals, okay? So I think the whole landscape of the NBA is going to change once again when the Toronto Raptors win the NBA Finals. It'll be the first time that a team from Canada wins the finals, and I don't see them not winning the finals. Even if KD comes back, his first game, he's not going to be the same KD. You're probably going to get 50% of KD, and that's good in spurts, but still the game can tilt either way. Whether when you had KD somewhat fully healthy, you get the odds of the Golden State Warriors winning that game is small. Okay, the window is small. But with KD, even if he do come back, Monday, I still don't think. I think it's a little too late. So remember when all the talking heads were talking about how the Golden State Warriors, having Kevin Durant is a luxury. It's not a primarily focused decision. It's a luxury. It's good. He in other words, KD is really not that important to the Golden State Warriors. Well, these NBA Finals, shown and proved to you guys, KD is very important to the Golden State Warriors. And I said in my last live stream, when free agency comes, KD is going to be a very important piece for the Golden State Warriors. Why? Because having KD on that roster, even if you have to lose a Draymond Green, even which I don't see it, if you lose a Klay Thompson, okay, still you can fit a lot of pieces around KD, okay, even if you lose a Draymond Green or whatever in the next following free agency, if he doesn't take a pay cut, sort of say. I mean, you can't max out everybody on the Golden State Warriors, okay? And if you did, you're not going to have enough money cap-wise and the flexibility cap-wise to sign other players, other other decent players. So like I said earlier, if the Toronto Raptors win Monday, the landscape of the NBA will change, okay? No longer, I feel like teams are going to look at it as, look, if the Toronto Raptors can beat and dethrone the Golden State Warriors, maybe we need to reevaluate on the how we perceive this offseason. I feel like a lot of teams are going to have players that can play both ends of the court. Okay, they may be average on the offensive end, and they may be above average on the defensive end. But you need stop gaps. Okay, and back in the 80s, defense was an important thing. You have to be a darn good two-way player in the 80s and somewhat in the 90s. And I feel like the NBA sort of stepped away from that, saying, well, you don't really need to be good on defense. As long as you score X amount of points, you're going to win the majority of your games, okay? And I feel like if the Toronto Raptors win, that's going to, and this is a copycat league, expect a lot of teams to take this formula, going like, you know what? We really don't need 3 or 4 stars, and then we don't have enough salary cap flexibility to build on top of our roster, okay? We really don't need that. All we need is maybe a star, and then you have some marginal players, and then you start building on top of that. And I feel like a lot of teams, a lot of franchises are going to take this and apply it to their team, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like Golden State Warriors are going to lose this finals, okay? One, they're not healthy, but no team is healthy. Okay, so you can't really use that as an excuse. And two, the Toronto Raptors have players on their squad that can defend very well against a perimeter offensive team. Okay, so they did it with the Bucks. The Bucks was like the second best team in offensive efficiency, okay, and they beat them, okay. You got the Golden State Warriors, you got the Houston Rockets, you got the Utah Jazz. You had all these offensive explosive teams, and they're all falling by the wayside. And a lot of franchises are going to look at this and say, wait a minute, you don't have to have a team that's offensive, that's great on offense and mediocre on defense. It'd be great if you can, establish two-way players, the blue chip two-way players, the kind that, are that loves to play defense. That's the way to go. So I feel like, as a fan, I would love to see the Golden State Warriors win. I like to see the champion continue to win until he meets his match. Okay, until he meets somebody that's, just as good as the champ. Okay, and that's what makes great matchups in boxing. It makes it great in the Super Bowl. It makes it great in the NBA Finals. It makes it great in the World Series when you have those types of matchups. Okay, so as a fan, I hate to see the Golden State Warriors win, but as a basketball, I've been loving basketball my whole life. This is perfect for basketball if the Toronto Raptors win. Like I said earlier in my live stream, I told you guys yesterday that I felt like the Golden State Warriors were going to win, and I was wrong on that. Okay, but but if you look at it as a basketball kind of sense, it's perfect for the landscape of basketball, because basketball's going to be changed once again. When the Golden State Warriors won the finals against the Cleveland Cavaliers, it changed. That whole landscape changed. It's not about half court and having the best low post center playing old school. It wasn't about that no more. Now it's about having perimeter players who are very explosive on the offensive end. It's about jumpers. It's about shooting threes. The whole mindset of basketball changed when the explosion of Steph Curry. Because now, when you look at Steph Curry and when you look at LeBron James, kids look at that and go, well, it's going to be hard for me to, have the same type, try to follow the road of LeBron James, because, LeBron James, is more talent than skill. When you look at Steph Curry, he looks like an average basketball player. Okay, he looks like a person that I can probably duplicate what Steph Curry is doing. All I got to do is shoot 1,000 shots every night at the gym, every day in the gym, and I can probably copy or somewhat be close to an original as a Steph Curry. And I don't have to worry about defense, okay? When you look at LeBron James and all these other ISO players, they have to, they got to step their game up on all levels. They just can't just be good at one thing and then that's it, okay? And that's sort of what the demise of the Golden State Warriors. For so long they've been hiding Steph Curry in their offense. And Steph Curry is not good on defense. He's not the best defensive player, okay? So they've been hiding him all these years with a Draymond, a Klay Thompson, a Kevin Durant, a Cook, Sean Livingston, AI. They've been hiding him for so long that he's finally being exposed in these finals, okay? You can't hide him anymore. He's going to have to ultimately, even though he's scoring 30 and 40 points, he's still putting in the work as far as on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, he's giving up points, okay? So you're adding points when you're scoring, but you're giving up points on the other end, okay? So, and it's making it a little bit difficult for the Golden State Warriors to catch up and keep up, because not only you got to defend the Toronto Raptors when they have the ball, but now you have a liability on your roster. You have a liability like a Steph Curry. Even though Boogie Cousins has been doing pretty good on the defensive end, sometimes he can be a liability, okay? Particularly last night, okay? There was a lot of big men that were scoring last night, okay? And, it's due to the fact that, Boogie, he's still injured, okay? And he can't do what he normally is capable of doing, okay? But he's really the only big man that they have on the Golden State Warriors, okay? A lot of people are going to say Bogut, but Bogut has been in and out of the roster, and he's not very consistent because he too has been injured, okay? So, and, Father Time as well, okay? So, this is going to be Monday night. I feel like that's going to be the last game for the Golden State Warriors. Unless some miracle that Kevin Durant returns. And if Kevin Durant returns, that game is still a pick'em. It's still a toss-up. The Toronto Raptors can still win, or the Golden State Warriors might prevail and win and hold off elimination, okay? But you're only going to get less than 50% of Kevin Durant Monday night. So is that a high enough percentage for them to beat the Toronto Raptors? I don't think that's enough, okay? Now, Boogie could be a little bit more healthier than what he is last night, and he did pretty good. He did his thing, okay? So, the landscape of the NBA is once again going to change once the Toronto Raptors win Monday night. They're going to be crowned NBA champions, and this is going to be the first basketball team in the NBA history that won a championship in a foreign land where it's not foreign but Canadian, okay, to be the first Canadian team to win an NBA Finals, okay. So that's going to be good for the Toronto Raptors, their franchise, their fans, because they've been waiting for this for so long. Because people seem to forget that they've been trying to get to the finals even when LeBron James was in the East, and LeBron James was always in their way, okay? And now they finally, now LeBron James is out west, and he's having problems with the Lakers, okay? Which that's another time and another story, all right? And now it's open season for the East. Before the season started, remember all the rumors when everybody's talking about free agents of this summer? They're going to team up. They're going to team up and go to the Knicks. They're going to team up and go to Brooklyn. They're going to team up and go to the Lakers. Okay, remember all that talk. Okay, all that talk that everybody was talking about. How players are going to team up. They're going to form super teams. Okay, when the Toronto Raptors win Monday, it's going to put a lot of doubts in a lot of those other players who are free agents saying, wait a minute, why should I team up with two other to form a super team? We're not going to have enough cap space to add any other players. Why do that when I can go someplace else and they got plenty of money? And what's up? Thanks man. They got plenty of money, and they got they got a lot of roster space. So why would I do that? Kyrie Irving is going to ask him. He's going to ask himself that. Okay. I don't understand what you said right there, but that's cool. Kyrie Irving's going to ask himself that. Kevin Durant's going to ask himself that. Kawhi Leonard's going to ask himself that. Why go through teaming up as a super team, and I can just go to a team that has cap space, that has a damn good roster, they can build on top of the roster. I'm doing fine, dude. I'm doing fine, man. So it's one of those things that this summer is going to be impressive in free agency. It's going to be legendary in free agency. A lot of stuff that a lot of people were talking about, like Stephen A. Smith and all these talking heads at Fox Sports 1, Colin Cowherd, all these people that saying guaranteed people are going to form super teams. It's going to be impressive, and it's going to shock a lot of people this upcoming NBA season. Okay, best believe that. All right, so it's going to be impressive. It's going to be funny how the dice going to roll. I kind of told you guys briefly what's going to transpire. I felt like Kevin Durant is probably going to stay with the Golden State Warriors, but if they lose, Kevin Durant is going to have concerns like, wait a minute, if I stay with the Golden State Warriors, what Klay Thompson going to do? It's going to have doubts in Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson's going to say, wait a minute, we're starting to show our age a little bit. Maybe relocating and maybe going to Los Angeles and pairing up with LeBron and with those young guns, those young players that they have, we might can do some damage in the Western Conference, okay? Kevin Durant's probably saying the same thing, like, wait a minute, hold up. First, it was a lock and a guaranteed if I stayed with the Golden State Warriors, okay? But wait a minute, hold up. Maybe I should take my talent someplace else, okay? Kyrie Irving is in that type of situation, okay? So it's going to be very unprecedented. It's going to be a lot of things that a lot of people were talking about, how, oh, this guy's going to pair up with that guy, and that guy's going to pair up with that guy, and AD's going to pair up with LeBron, and all they need is Kyrie or Klay Thompson. All this bull crap that a lot of these talking heads have been talking about for the whole year, okay? All this stuff that they've been talking about, it ain't going to happen. It's just not going to fall that way, okay? I feel like if the Toronto Raptors win, it's going to give a lot of hope to a lot of other players, saying like, wait a minute, Toronto did it with just Kawhi Leonard, and some pretty damn good role players. Okay, so why do I want to pair up with a super team? Now we don't have enough money to make our roster better. Okay, it's back to the old school way of thinking. You don't need a super team to win a championship. You need someone that's smart in your office, in your front office, a good general manager, president of basketball operations. Secondly, you need is a good coach, okay? And you just need a bunch of role players and maybe one or two max players, and you're done. Maybe one, okay? So I feel like the landscape of the NBA is going to change once again, like it did when Steph Curry and them won the chip many moons ago, when everybody's saying, oh, we need players that can shoot the three. We need players that can shoot long distance shots, okay? We don't need ISO players, okay? We don't need a two-way player. We don't need a player that's concerned about the defense and the offense. We just need a player that can score, okay? Because it's offense. Offense is what win titles, okay? And people seem to forget, even when Golden State Warriors were winning them chips. A lot of people seem to forget that the Golden State Warriors back in the day was in top 5 when it comes to defensive teams. Okay, so don't get it twisted. Don't just think the Houston Rockets is an offensive team. Okay, but defense they struggle a bit. Okay, and that's the reason why the Rockets can't get past the Golden State Warriors. Okay, because when you need to make a stop, who's gonna make that stop for the Houston Rockets? Okay, so it's just one of those weird things. I kind of love this. I kind of like when the NBA changes and reforms and changes, but it always go back to traditional basketball. You need a hard-minded coach that preaches defense as well as offense. You need a floor general, a point guard, okay, or just a floor general. And you just need some good players on your team. And if you draft well, you're going to get those good players, So it's just one of those things. I can't wait. I'm going to try to do something different on this channel Monday. E3, I believe it's Monday. And I'm going to try to do some coverage on E3 on this channel. I'm going to see how fun that's going to be. If you guys are interested in it, then I might throw in some gaming news and things of that nature. As far as streaming goes, I might get back into the stream of things within this channel, okay? So I'm not too sure about that. Guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy. I'm Chris the Don One, and I am out. And I feel like the Toronto Raptors are going to be our NBA champion at Monday night. Okay, peace. All right.